Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is me trying to do a Cathay video. I've failed so many times to actually finish the bloody thing. So here we go. Cathay. New faction, new models. Brand new for Warhammer Fantasy. First new race Warhammer Fantasy has gotten since, I want to say, the 90s. Anyway, they've got... so let's talk about the special rules first. And then we'll talk about... magic items, I think, maybe. No, we'll do magic items last. We'll do this special rules first. Then we'll do army composition. And then I'm going to hop on. And then don't need to do armory because I'll explain that as we go. And then we'll hop on to new recruit and basically sort of build a list, but also then go through all the entries because all the rules are on new recruit now. So first off, Cathay special rules. Some models have chaos armor. Sorry, celestial forged armor. Sorry, it's not chaos armor, despite the fact that it fricking is. So they get a ward save. Wizards can wear armor without penalty. So they've got chaos's cool thing. Mastery of the elemental winds once per turn. So once per turn, a wizard with in your army that's within 6 of another friendly wizard, gets +1 to cast. Right. That's quite useful, considering it's a free upgrade and considering the types of lists you're going to end up building. So you've then got Will of the Dragons, which I think everything has as a keyword. Will of the Dragons also keys you into other things as well, as we'll see with elemental winds, but there's other things that it kind of keys into. But Will of the Dragons, you may reroll failed panic tests when a friendly unit is destroyed within 6 inches or when it's fled through by a friendly unit. You do not get to reroll panic tests, therefore, for heavy casualties, i.e. over 25% in a phase, or... oh gosh, what's the other one? Oh, friends breaking within 6 inches. I I don't understand that rule, but anyway, so they can re-roll half of the panic tests. I'd argue, pardon me. I'd argue they don't really need that, but whatever. And then you got this elemental winds thing. So at the during each start of turn subphase, Grand Cathay player rolls a d6 and gets some effects across the whole army. Again, because it keys into Will of the Dragon, so everybody gets it. So if the Cathay player is going second, they've obviously got none in the first turn. Well, in the opponent's first turn. But it's not like your opponent can really do anything. No, that's not... that doesn't matter, right? So if Yang is blowing, basically the modifiers, movement or initiative, it's one of the modifiers. So you're not allowed to pick one for each unit. It's one for the whole lot. So if Yang is blowing strongest, then you can pick +1 movement for your entire army, which is massive, or +1 initiative, which is less massive. If Yin's blowing, everybody gets +1 weapon skill, which can be pretty huge, and everybody gets +1 leadership, which, is... The weapon skill, I think, is better in general, because, like, the high leadership, anyway, I think the base troops are, like, 8, and I think they've got plenty of leadership, 10 generals, or 9 or 10 generals. So, like, they've got high leadership already, so +1 leadership, not so much of a benefit for most of the army. But +1 weapon skill, it's quite useful, considering basically you can have a weapon skill 6, just basic infantry unit in Cathay. We'll see that in a sec. Now, if a wizard with lore... Look, so when they say wizards with the Law of Yang special rule, right? You've got this thing called the Shugengun, or Shugengun. I don't know how to... Shugengun. I don't know how to... Sugar daddy. So you get these sugar daddies and sugar mummies who basically they're the wizards. They're really, really, really good characters. You're probably going to have one, and they've got 7 wounds. And yeah, they have to pick either the Law of Yang or the Law of Yin special rule. They are the only models in the army that can do that. Miao Ying, who's the dragon lady character, who's like the sort of supreme empress sort of thing, she is able to access spells from the yin and yang law. However, she doesn't have the special rule. She's got another special rule that allows her to access them. So she doesn't get these additional effects. So sugar daddies, if they are yang and yang is blowing, so it's not tremendously, they increase the dispel range and the range of enchantments by 3. Yin, so if they're yin and yin is blowing, they increase the range of hexes and magic missiles by 3. Increasing dispel range by 3 is a pretty big deal. So you're gonna be yang basically, but even though it's not reliable, still +3 dispel range gives you an additional thing in your toolkit. So the Law of Yang. These are the 3 signature spells that you can take. There is an item, a magic item, that allows you to take all 3 of one or the other, but you can't cast more spells than your level of wizardry. Now, can't cast more spells than level of wizardry, that applies to everybody now, so it's not a limitation, in reference to everybody else. So, if you wanted, you could have a sugar daddy with this item, give him yang because you want the chance of getting +3 to dispel. You can pick one of these anyway, and then you get the 3 yin spells because of this item. Oh yeah, and you've also rolled 4 dice on your Law of Magic. So essentially you're giving that wizard 7 spells to choose between. I think it's a crazy powerful item. So these are the spells. There's a lot. There's 3 of them. Sorry, I say a lot. Well, it's half. That have like double cast values. So 7 and 11. 7's pretty easy to cast. 11 is pretty difficult to cast. Now they've changed the casting modifiers. But anyway, Blazing Dragon or Constellation of the Dragon. Sorry, it's it's got sorry, I've just got a cold coming on. I was running around at rugby practice last night and I just couldn't get cool. It's horrible in the UK at the moment because it's just, I don't know whether anybody's tried to explain this, but it's a real wet heat. Like you're sweating, but it's not doing anything. Like you're just sweating. You're not, the only way to cool down is really just to breathe more. So I was running around last night and I don't know. I got so hot I just couldn't see for a bit. It was really weird. It's never happened before. Anyway, so Constellation of the Dragon, D6 +1 strength 4, no AP. So it's like medium strength, medium amount of hits, low AP. So it's not a very good magic missile as its base thing. It's okay. At the higher casting value, though, it's a high number of hits at a medium strength and a medium AP. So that becomes a pretty good 11 plus. I still think apart from Miao Ying's special magic missile that only she has, which is amazing, I think behind that it's still the Zinch magic missile essentially being the best, because that's D6 +3, strength 4, AP2. So high AP, high number of hits, medium strength. I think that's probably still the best. But then you got the Great Bastion, the unit that it's cast on. It's an enchantment. They get a 6-up ward. And if you charge them, you got to take a dangerous terrain test. If you charge them, it's just the front rank. It's not the fighting rank. Not that would make any difference. I don't think. I guess you know, throwing spears give you fighting extra rank, don't they? So I don't know who's got them, to be honest. But then you got Might of Heaven and Earth, which is the caster, the mountain, and the unit get +1 weapon skill and strength, and gain flaming attacks. And if it's 12 or more, then all friendly units within the master's command range. So Miao Ying in a unit, you know, she can give them +1 weapon skill and strength. Just to sort of, I know I'm sort of moving around a bit, but you could so, and this is no, I'll come back to that. No, I'll talk about it now. Miao Ying, basically, she's got a special rule that you can upgrade a unit of Jade Warriors to Celestial Dragon Guard, and it costs a point, which is just way too cheap, because it gives them +1 weapon skill, and I think +1 initiative as well. The weapon skill 4 base, so they're up to weapon skill 5 now, with the Celestial Dragon Guard. They then could be affected by the Law of Yang, right? So they're up to weapon skill 6. And then they could have this spell cast, so then they're up to weapon skill 7. These are basic troops that are 8 points, and you can get them up to weapon skill 7, which is higher than most lords, right? Just by stacking weapon skill. It's insane. It's insane. Like, it's just ridiculous. Anyway. And then the Law of Yin, which I'd argue all of these spells are pretty good. You want Spirits of Wind and Shadow because it's a hex, 15-inch range. Enemy unit becomes subject to random movement d6. That's frankly ridiculous. Like, as a spell, it just turns off charges. It turns off Swift Stride, obviously, because you can't use that. You know, it's just, that's a horrible, horrible spell, but really super effective. You've then got a Cursed Mirror, which is cast on, I mean, Spirits of Wind and Shadow, cast on a 10. Even if you've got +3 to cast, i.e. like a higher level wizard and another bonus from somewhere, you're still only casting it about half the time. So Spirits of Wind and Shadow is not reliable. I'd say nowadays anything 8 and below is reliable. Anything 9, 10, maybe if we're pushing it 11 is sort of reliable. And then no. 9 and 10 are unreliable, and 11 plus is like, it's just luck if that comes off. You know, so basically what I'm saying there is if you need a spell to go off to make your game plan work, and it's cast on a 7 or an 8, that's not a bad shout. But you know, if you need a spell to come off and it's like a 9 or a 10 or even an 11, you shouldn't be banking on those at all. Tactically, it's a bad idea to bank on anything that's like, you know, 9 plus, really. I mean, you shouldn't really bank on spells anyway, because you could always fail them. But anyway, Cursed Mirror. It's a hex. It targets an enemy unit. Every time they roll a 1 to hit, they take a Strength 3 AP 1 hit. Which is can be pretty tasty. You know, imagine if this was cast on demonettes or witch elves. You know, high attacks, low toughness, low armor. That could absolutely decimate them. And you know, it could do a bit of damage against stuff like Grail Knights, because you know, Grail Knights have only got a 3-up save. They've only got heavy armor, barding, shield. You know, so they've only got a 3-up save. They are toughness 4, I think. But still, like, they're very expensive and they've got a high number of attacks. So, you know, that's a good target for this as well. Ancestral Warriors. It's an assailment. 2d3 strength 2 hits. And at the high value, it's 2d6 strength 4 with AP 1, I think. That's a pretty good assailment. I mean, I don't think it's one that you'd pick, but again, if you've got the magic item I was talking about, then you've got all 3 of these anyway. You can pick one from Yang, and then you've got 3 of the 4 that you randomly rolled, right? So, you know, you've got this as an additional attack in combat, really, more or less for free. Then we've got the army composition, which is you get a Cathay dragon per 1,000 points, which again is ridiculous because they're very good. I say she is very good. There's only one, it's Miao Ying. Then you got the Sugar Daddies or Lord Magistrates per 1,000 points. I think they mean Shugengan General here because there's a Sugar Lord and a Sugar General. Yeah, the Sugar Lord is like your level 3-4 wizard, and the Sugar General is like your level 1-2 wizard, basically. And then you can spend. Then you must spend, sorry, a quarter on warriors and lancers. I mean, if you wanted to go mounted, that's fine. A unit of lancers is over 250 points anyway, so you can take two lancers if you want, like in a 2k list. And then you can spend up to 50% of your stuff here. And if you got a Sugar Lord as general, then you can take a Sentinel as a special, and if it's a Magistrate, then you can take a Sky Lantern as special. In the recent errata, they've put limits on, so you can take 3 of the same character, 4 of the same core, 3 of the same special, 2 of the same rare. They didn't say what happens in these scenarios where you can take 1 as special or core. I mean, if it were me, I'd rule that 4 warriors, 3 lancers, because they're actually special. I'd say it's where they're from, like natively, not this sort of 0 to 1 thing. So 4 warriors, 3 lancers, 3 of these, and then only 2 Skylands or Sentinels. We'll go through the Dragon Special rules when we talk about Miao Ying. Yeah. Is there anything else I wanted from here? No. Right, let's go find new recruit and sort of build a list. Let's do a new one. Cathay. Right. Let's look at Miao Ying. Miao Ying is ridiculous. She's 485 points. Look at all those rules. She's just absolutely ridiculous. They put the dragon rules on a separate page because I think they've agreed amongst themselves that no model is going to have more than 2 pages of rules. And Miao Ying stretches to 3 pages. However, they've moved the dragon bits to a separate dragon section. So I'll just talk about the kind of switching between the two. The thing has 7 wounds, right? I don't know if it's a she or an it. I don't know what it is. I don't really know enough about the lore of Miao Ying. I think they're immortal dragon emperor things that I don't know where they came from. I don't know why the old ones made them. Basically, it's weird. They're definitely not chaos though. 100% definitely not minor chaos gods that are pretending to be anything. Right, Miao Ying. So she's got 7 wounds, and in dragon form she's got movement 8. She's got fly 9. So if fly gets turned off, she don't care really. And she's very good. She's got strength 7, which is high for a dragon. Weapon skill 8, which is high for a lord. Toughness 6, which is standard for a dragon. 7 wounds is actually low for a dragon, although it doesn't matter because every time she changes from dragon to human, she heals D3 wounds. D3, not 1, D3. So you're probably going to transform twice, maybe 3 times in a game. So that's another 4 or 6 wounds. So she's kind of got 11 wounds, but she doesn't have for the purposes of unit strength. So she doesn't get close order bonus. FYI, the only character that does now is a Chaos Lord on Dragon because the Chaos Lord's got 4 wounds, Dragon had 6, it's got 10 wounds, and therefore gets its close order bonus. Right. Even in on foot, she's still pretty decent. Weapon skill 7. She doesn't have a hand weapon. She's got these Talons of the Storm. So basically, it's at this strength, AP 2, Armor Bane 1, and she gets Strike first. Of course. High Elves, you're not allowed to strike first, Dragon. Cathay, you are. Why? Well, because we kind of want to sell the model. On foot, she's got heavy armor, and she's got the Chaos Armor rule. And as a dragon, she's got full plate armor. She's got a 5-up ward as well, because she's got the Chaos Armor rule. But that's it in terms of defense. So she's got a lot of heals. She's got a lot of like game with that. But she's still susceptible to killing blow on foot. She's sort of susceptible to Monster Slayer in dragon form, but not that much. Because when she dies, when her last wound's taken in dragon form, she can transform one last time. How does transforming work? So when you transform, you take the new model, you put that within 6 inches of the old model, but where you put it has to be at least an inch away from friendly units and at least 3 inches away from enemy units. So if she's in the middle of a big block of infantry, for instance, and you charge her in the front, it's possible that you can't actually place the dragon model down, so she can't like teleport out of combat that way. So you can trap her into combat by essentially chucking a big unit of infantry in their big unit of infantry when she's foolishly decided to deploy in it. That's one way of trapping her in human form, because if she dies in human form, that's it. And again, in human form, she's not got that much by way of defense. Toughness 4, 5 up, 5 up ain't great, but she's got so many other special rules, like, and also those weapons are really nice. Right, so she's got all the sort of dragony things you'd expect in dragon form, like fly and blah blah blah. In human form, she's got rallying cry, which is okay. She's got stomps and swift stride and terror and blah 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 blah. Right, so she's got this rule called disdain of the dragons. Any enemy models who want to issue a challenge within her command range, which is obviously 12 on foot and 18 as a big thing, must take a leadership test, and if they fail, they can't issue the challenge. Basically, they're -1 to this test. If they're -1 to this to the leadership. If +1 to the dice roll, -1 to the leadership, whatever. They're -1 if she's in combat with you and in human form, and -2 if she's in dragon form. She hates Warriors of Chaos and demonic models. She's got Magic Res 1, because why not? Mastery of the Storm Winds. Basically, she can discard up to 2 of her randomly generated spells. When she does so, she may replace them with spells chosen from the Law of Yang, the Law of Yin, the signature spell of a chosen law, or the Storm Dragon's Fury, which is her own signature spell. The Storm Dragon's Fury is amazing. It's down here, so we'll look at that in a sec. She's got Mastery of the Elemental Winds, which is the +1 to cast thing. That's a sort of a kind of a... Her and the Sugar Lords also have it, and the Sugar Generals. She's stubborn, of course. Why not? And also, she's got to be the General, and you can upgrade only 1 unit of Warriors and only 1 unit... Blah, blah, blah. They get +1... Oh, it's not initiative, it's leadership. Even better. So for a point, they get +1 weapon skill, +1 leadership, and a 6 at ward. Screw you, G-Dub. That's broke. I've just... I have nothing further to say. It's broken. Like, it's just too... The point is, right, if Jade Warriors were fairly elite already and like 18, 90 points, like, if this was an upgrade to Chaos Warriors, people would have problems with it, right? But like, it's an upgrade. They're 8 points each. 8 points each as standard. Like, for 9 points, you've got something that's weapon skill 5 with heavy armor and a shield. For 9 points, you got something that's got a 3-up save. Like, if it does sword and board, a 3-up save in combat, re-rolling 1s to save, which is their special rule. Weapon skill 5. I mean, yeah, they're only strength, toughness, and initiative 3. Oh, yeah, and now they're leadership 9 as well. For 9 points. Are you taking the piss? Like, you've got to be taking the piss. That's ridiculous. It's, I think that's the most ridiculous thing about this army, actually. Miao Ying, well, okay, Miao Ying is overall ridiculous, but that as a concept, just ridiculous. I don't know how many more times I can say ridiculous. And she's got all that. Oh yes, and of course, Jade Warriors and Jade Lancers gain the hatred, Warriors of Chaos, and demonic models. Technically, are they still Jade Warriors if they've been upgraded? So do Celestial Dragon Guard have hatred? I mean, they probably do, but you know, just being a well, actually. And then we've talked about that. Now, where's her signature spell? There it is. Storm Dragon's Fury. It's a magic missile, 18-inch range, pretty standard. 2d3 strength 5 hits, AP 3 flaming, and then the target must give ground. Holy hell, what a ridiculous... It is cast on a 10, so in dragon form she's a level 2, and on foot she's a level 4. You know, I think you can choose which one to deploy as far as I can tell. You're probably going to want to deploy on foot most of the time, but I mean, I wish you'd been forced to deploy on foot, because that's how she works in the Total War game. But also, like, yeah. So she's, you know, if you're deploying her in dragon, do you only get two spells to roll then? Like, I know you roll spells before deployment, but like, do you have to pick which one you do? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just a bit weird. There's questions that anyway. So you got 2d3, which is like a medium amount of hits, high strength, very high AP. Like, that's a really good magic missile. It is cast on a 10 though, which is you know, can be a problem. But yeah, of course, 485 points. Miao Ying goes in, absolutely no problem. Oh yeah, by the way, she can also take high magic, so she can make herself ethereal. That's not at all a problem. Okay, and then we have the gatekeepers and gate masters. I'm really just not going to go through them. You're going to pick a gatekeeper, because it's you know, maybe not a horse. I don't know. It's a 70-point battle standard bearer, which is, you know, really cheap. Yeah, because as a faction, like writing a list, you just make it and this another annoying thing, because you're just making it easier for people to write lists, because they can just take a cheap BSB. They don't have to compromise. And I guess that's the thing with Cathay in general. There's no compromise. You've then got Lord Magistrates and Strategists. So what they do is they've got some really cool rules. They can allow other units to use their leadership. Lord Magistrate's leadership 9, which is good, even if they're not the general. And you can choose to make once a turn. You can make a unit fall back in good order rather than follow up or pursuit. So, which again is super strong. So, you know, if you accidentally, you know, failed your leadership test and that you pursue, you know, at leadership 9, then you can just fall back in good order instead, you know, which is pretty advantageous. It's that's useful on the tabletop. That's a bit of janky bullshit as well. Oh yeah, then they can reroll leadership tests if they're in a unit when attempting to reform, or after running down a foe when attempting to redirect a charge, or when making a restraint test. So these guys are like really useful to sort of buff up your army and make your army just more effective. If you're not going down the Miao Ying route, you're probably going to take, you know, a Lord Magistrate and or a Strategist. And then you got the Shigengan Lord and Shigengan General. The difference, the General has slightly worse stats, but they're more or less the same. It's also got a strike first weapon, the Iron Talons. The Crown of Horns is the Long Mars thing. They only come on Long Mar. They never get off their Long Mar. Never. They're always stroking their Long Mar. Never leave the Long Mar. Right. It's got Armoured Hide too, because of course it has, like all other monstrous creatures. You know, that's just a standard rule, isn't it, for monstrous creatures? They tend to at least have armoured hide. No, they don't. No, actually, most monstrous mounts have no armoured hide. Right, that's not. Most of them don't. Just, but this one's got 2. It's got the 5 at ward and wizard and can cast blah blah blah. Let's actually pick one, because I definitely you're definitely going to have this in your army. Like, it's ridiculous. You're probably going to play 6 points for the Celestial Blade. Why? Because it just gives you +1 strength. Like, their normal weapon, Iron Talons, you know, is this. What's happening with my mouse? +1 strength costs 6 points for +1 strength. That's not too cheap at all, is it? You're almost certainly going to take a Dragonfire pistol as well, because it's 12-inch range, strength user, which is 4, 5, something like that. And then flaming, multiple shots to quick shot, which is great. You know, great. Take heavy armor, get it up to a 3-up save, nice. And then it starts off as level 2, so it doesn't have to be level. But you're probably going to pay 30 points for the upgrade, because what do you get for the 30 points? We get +1 to cast, and I think they need to rebalance this in the rules, because if something can take 1, 2, 3, or 4, that jump from 2 to 3 shouldn't just be a linear fucking 30 points. It's just because what do you get for 30 points? You get +1 to cast, you get +6 inches to your disrail range, and +1 to bind. Now, is that worth more than 30 points? I would argue, yes, it fucking is. Moving from level 3 to level 4, however, that doesn't really actually confer any. That you're allowed to cast an extra spell a turn. So level 3 to level 4 is probably worth 30 points, and level 3 to level 4 is probably worth like 15 points. But level 2 to level 3 is probably worth like 40 or 50 points. Maybe even the full 60. We're going to pick Yang because we want the chance of increasing our dispel range. And I'd go for Illusion, to be honest. Because, well, A, you get Spectral Doppelganger, which is great. So you could have 2 assailments, for instance. And then also you get Miasmic Mirage, which is, again, cast on a 10. The point there, though, is that the Cathay spell that stops, like, a unit of cavalry charging you, I mean, that illusion spell also stops the charge. They're both cast on a 10. So if you're doing 2 of them at level 3, you know, rolling, I would take my chances rolling an 8, rolling 2d6 twice. You know, I really would. Like, I really would. Actually, my dice. No, I wouldn't. There we go. It took me 5 attempts to get it. But it just makes it more likely that kind of effect comes off. Let's do the magic weapons now, because this is where you think about it when you're building a list, wouldn't you? So you got Monkey King's Wisdom, Strength 10, AP 4. This is fucking insanely good. Strength 10, AP 4. It does strike last and take 2 hands, but your sugar daddy, you know, he's already got a 3-up save and no shield, so that's 2 hands isn't a problem. Does multiple wounds D3. Strength 10, AP 4, multiple wounds D3. Absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. You got the Jade Blade of the Great Fleet, which is 5 points less. That gives you regen 5-up, which again is frankly ridiculous. And it's basically a one-handed great weapon. Like, you know, regen 5-up. I mean, it's quite expensive actually, but I think that's fairly priced, because, you know, are you really going to pay 70 points for regen? I mean, it's a good weapon, but 70 points? I mean, I guess, though, if you do have Spectral Doppelganger, hitting them with this 2d6 times in addition to your normal hits is also quite broke. I mean, it's not as good as the Monkey King's Wisdom in terms of, like, damage output, but actually it will do a decent amount of damage output. And, you know, considering you're comparing this with Ogre Blade, right? So this versus Ogre Blade, like, it's basically Ogre Blade without the multiple wounds, but regen instead. And do you know what? I really wouldn't have a problem with this if every single faction had, like, a super weapon, but they don't. They just don't. Even in, like the chaos demon sword. If you look at it, it's pretty rubbish. Like, you expect the demon sword to be basically more powerful than this, but also there's a massive risk. Like rolling one and having to hit your own unit. You know, that's that's pretty bad. Or having to hit yourself. That's not a good thing. So, you expect it to be, and basically it just lets you do a few more attacks at a little bit extra. Well, in fact, I mean, uh, if we just have a look at oh, idiot, that one can only take 50 points of items. This one can take a bit more, though. Demon Sword, here we go. This is the same, right? So strength S plus D3, so less than 10, probably. AP2, it does have strike first and magical. Okay, and D3 extra attacks. So on a Chaos Lord, you probably like 7 attacks. Probably at like strength 7. Strength plus D3 is like, normally strength plus 1 when you need it, and normally strength plus 3 when you don't, right? And then one's hit, but like you compare that with the monkey stick, and the monkey stick is just like way better without the risk. Hey ho. So that's pretty cool. There's some other stuff as well, like whatever. Spirit Longmore Spear's another one, isn't it? It's a like a Cathayan spear with the extra AP for 25 points. I mean, that's a good upgrade for a Jade Lancer champion. The magic armor doesn't appear to be any. Maybe that's not there. You've then got these things like Feng Shi Bow, so you can know one more spell. Or you can take a Guardian Feng Shi Bow, which gives you -1 to hit during the combat phase. You might want to take that. The one I really like is the Cloak. Is it? Yeah, the Cloak of Po Mei, which means you get more spells for 50 points. I'd probably take that. And what we've got in this list so far is oh yeah, what's the problem with it? Oh, number of units. Yeah, what we've got in this list so far is actually 2 really good. Now both of these have got Fly 9 as well, so they can fly around with each other, which means you're pretty much always going to get you +1 to cast. So one or the other. So they can fly around and cause a nuisance. Jade Warriors are just brilliant. I probably wouldn't make them drilled, but I'd probably make them stubborn. And 30 of these boys. Costs 350 points. And you take 50 points of magic standard. Is it this one? Yeah, shield wall. Shield wall basically may give ground rather than fall back in good order. Which I think is great, because you've made them stubborn, right? And then you've got shield wall, so the first time they're in combat they just get nudged back regardless of what the result is, because they can just trigger stubborn to just fall back in good order, and then they can trigger shield wall to only get pushed back 2 inches. So basically, even if they do get charged in the front by a big nasty unit of knights that end up winning the combat through killing stuff, rather than combat. Well, you get combat res from killing stuff. You tend to find units win by stacking combat res before the combat, or by doing casualties. So even if like a unit of chosen chaos knights, pile into you, and kill like, I don't know, 10 of them, win the combat by a bit, you'll just get pushed back 2 inches, and that's it. Oh yeah, and by the way, now your Celestial Dragon Guard, your leadership 9, weapon skill 5, all the other things are 3, movement 4. But remember, actually, you can be weapon skill 6 sometimes because of law of yang. You can be, because of the winds of yang, you can be movement 5 sometimes because of the laws of winds of, that one's, or whatever, because of the winds. That's it's pretty decent. They're very good. Jade Lancers, I don't think are very good. I think they're the weakest point in the army. They do have a special rule. So they've got these Cathayan lances. Oh, you can take a Cathayan lance with a Sugar Daddy, or any other, but you wouldn't with a Shigangan because it doesn't have strike first. But you got these Cathayan lances. They're fighting extra rank, which means actually taking like a unit of 10 lancers kind of makes a bit of sense because you can charge them all in and they all get to fight because they get fighting extra rank. Even on the charge, they get the strength and AP bonuses when they charge. Now, they're only strength +1, AP 1, so that puts them up to strength 4, which I don't feel that's enough poke, really. I don't think I'd take Jade Lancers. I think I'd take, like, maybe another unit of warriors if I was going to build a list. Yeah, probably that's all right. That's all right. Then let's talk about... So we talked about the Lancers. I mean, the Lancers have got decent stats. They've got, again, the movement 7. They got a 3-up save because they've got heavy armor. Everything in Cathay has heavy armor. Which is weird because militaristically they had some excellent light troops. The Chinese did. Cathay don't actually, even in War and Total War, they've written all the kind of the light skirmishy stuff out. They've got this rule called cataphracts, so when they make a follow-up rule, they move, they count as charging. So even if the enemy only gets pushed back 2 inches, they still get to use their spears. So basically, they get to use their spears until they lose a round of combat. And then we've got... Let's do the Fire Rain Rocket Battery. So, oh God, where to start with this? It's so it's basically it's either it's sort of a slightly rubbish mortar or a slightly rubbish stone thrower. The stone thrower thing gets the mortar thing also gets this Wailing Spirits rule, which is if you take just one casualty, you count as having suffered heavy casualties, which is pretty cool. The stone thrower, the rockets, the model in the middle only gets hit by strength. It is strength 5, AP 3, multiple wounds, D6. I mean, that's incredible for starters. But it being strength 5 means it's less reliable against stuff like... If that was strength... I'm so glad they didn't make it. Because if they made it strength 8, this would be massively overpowered with multiple wounds D6. But, yeah, that's... they've just got that. And then, of course, they've got the Cathayan Ground Cannon, which is just ridiculous. So, where the Cathayan Ground Cannon hits, I don't like the way the rules are presented here. Let's go back to this one and see if I can find... Now I'm sneezing. I've definitely got a cold. That's the Ogre Artillery Crew. Addition, yeah, it's there, isn't it? Yeah, okay, that's not much better. Look, we're going to select one anyway. I think if we put it... I mean, New Recruit is pretty good, apart from sometimes you can't really see the rules where you want to. Now, you are going to take an Ogre Loader, right? And you're probably going to give it gunpowder bombs, right? This does make it quite an expensive cannon, however, wait. It is a great cannon. It's strength 10, AP 3, armor bane 3, and it does multiple wounds D3 +1. So it's a grand cannon. It's a great cannon. It's not an Empire Great Cannon because an Empire Great Cannon's got a 60-inch range, I think. But yeah, whatever. You can also give them gunpowder bombs. I'd suggest you do. They're armor bane 1, blah, blah, blah. The main thing is they're quick shot, so if they get charged, they can, so basically at long range, they can pelt stuff with this. It does have the cannon fire rule, so it can do great shot closer, and then when it gets charged, it can, you get 3 crew and an ogre, so you get 4 shots at BS3 with, one hit does D3, so you're probably going to D4. So, it just might do a bit of chip damage. And also it just makes it disincentivizes the traditional like artillery hunters from going and hunting these things. Because, not only is there an ogre there, and ogres are pretty nasty, but also, you might get hit with a few bombs that, because your classic artillery hunters tend to be low toughness, low armor, strength 3, no AP isn't. That's actually, it doesn't matter that it's not high strength, high AP. The ogre loader it is ridiculous. So the crew of any war machine joined by an ogre loader gets +1 to move and stubborn, right? So the crew of the war machine, I think they move 4. So they or has this already taken that into account? Hold on, I just need to because new recruit does fix. No, they are movement 4, right? So they become movement 5 because of the ogre loader. They get stubborn, and in addition, firing rocket battery or ground cannon that has an ogre loader may fire twice during the shooting phase or re-roll a single artillery dice. Right. Once per game, but still, it's like they've got an engineer once per game. But also, they haven't, because they can frickin' fire twice. So, turn 1. That's what you're going to do, isn't it? 3 of them. Turn 1, you can basically chuck 6 great cannon shots at them. So it's like, oh, that really important character? Yeah, it's just dead. I'm just pressing delete on that. That's just dumb. And actually, I think we're pretty much there, aren't we, points-wise? That's a good list. Something very similar to it won a tournament recently. Then, of course, you've got the Sentinel and the Sky Lantern. I don't really want to dwell on these very much because, well, I'm feeling a bit jaded. Cathay Sentinel's got movement 6, toughness 6, 6 wounds. It's got heavy armor. It can upgrade itself. It's got a horrible weapon, which you either get its normal base 3 attacks at strength 7, AP 4, multiple wound D3, killing blow, monster slayer. Or you can do an extra 2d3 attacks for like 7 at strength 6, AP 2, armor bane 1, but they strike last. So it's either 3 attacks that can probably kill a monster, maybe, and then you can upgrade it. So you can upgrade it to, so it's a Terracotta Sentinel, so it has regen 6. Or you can upgrade it to be Jade. So you can choose a spell from Battle Magic or Elementalism and cast it as a bound spell with power level 3. So that's like a level 4 wizard with a bonus to cast. And they knew that when they wrote it. So, that's probably what you do, isn't it? And put Plague of Rust on it, maybe? Don't know. Now Pillar of Fire is random movement. You can't choose the direction. I think it's lost its luster. You can go Obsidian, give it Magic Res 2, and wizards who want to cast within 12 inches have got to take a leadership test, and if they fail, they are -3 to cast, and if they pass, they're still just -1. So you're -3 if you're in close range to hit that, or maybe, maybe -5. Then a Granite Sentinel gets 4 up save and immune to multiple wounds. Not immune to Monster Slayer, though. And then you got a Warpstone Sentinel, which models in base contact and -1 toughness, which is, you know, that's pretty nasty. Actually, all of those are worthwhile taking. None of those are characterful and add flavour. They're all just good. And I think that's what we mean when we talk about rules that add character. They don't have to be good. They just have to do something that's quite cool and gives, you know, an interesting battlefield effect. So, you know, you could have, instead of that, you could have, I don't know, the Granite Sentinel. You could have, you know, when this thing gets wounded, big chunks of rock, you know, whatever. So every time it suffers a wound, the unit that caused the wound takes D3 Strength 2 0 AP hits or something. It's not good. It's just characterful, right? It sort of simulates something happening. It's like as you lop bits off this big sort of golem. Yep. And then we've got the Sky Lantern, which is also a bit broke. It can basically just leave combat whenever it likes. So disengage means that it's got unbreakable, right? So that's the first thing that you got to consider when you're thinking about this rule. So it's got unbreakable, which means if it loses a round of combat, and it will lose a round of combat, it is shite in combat. But it when it loses a round of combat, right? It therefore just has to give ground because it's unbreakable. I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's unbreakable. I don't know why they made it unbreakable because, like, anyway. So it's unbreakable, so it can give ground. However, this thing can choose to fall back in good order instead of giving ground. So as long as one of those two dice is, I've just rolled pretty badly, but that illustrates the point entirely. If you roll a 3, then your opponent can't make the ground because they can't pursue. They have to follow up, which means moving 2 inches. So if it's ever engaged in combat, it's only for a turn. It has 7 wounds and a 4-up save. So the chance of you actually killing it all in one turn is pretty minimal. There's also 4 Lantern Gunners and a Commander who are BS4 and 5 respectively, who have Jezzails. Basically, they're Jezzails. Great, I guess. You know, and it's got Fire and Flee and Feigned Fly and. It's got all the cool like light cavalry stuff. Plus, it's a bit like a light cavalry piece. Weirdly, I mean, the Sky Lantern is kind of the light cavalry of the army. Plus, also, it acts as a spotter for the Fire Rain rocket battery, who, you know, obviously because it's a stone thrower and a mortar, it can do indirect fire. Do we call it indirect fire in this? I can't remember, actually. Bombardment, sorry, isn't it? Yeah. Bombardment rule. So because they can use that to shoot at stuff they can't see, this you can draw a line of sight from the Sky Lantern for those things instead. So basically, a hit is a hit. And it's, as you've seen, it's a massive fucking model. So it's going to be able to see pretty much the entire, all of the enemy, apart from stuff that's behind trees, because they're infinitely tall. From LOS perspective. Right. That's it, isn't it? We've been through the spells. We've been through the stuff. Yeah. So if I were building a list, would I take a Sentinel? I don't know. I think this is a big enough brick of troops and 3 cannons, you know, and a Fire Rain. I mean, I don't think I don't want the Fire Rain, but I don't think I even want the Sentinel. It's a cool model, and I think I do, because it's gonna. Oh, where do I compromise? I'll tell you what, I can reduce those a little bit. Let's get that down to there. Oh, then we've not got enough points. I don't like doing that, but whatever. And then how many points are we over? 45. I actually could get rid of a cannon. But I want 6 shots in the first turn. No, I think I'll get... I think actually... oh, where's my list gone? Bloody thing. I think I will... I will actually get rid of the Sentinel, yeah. Because I don't think I need it. I've got these to do the fly around and do monstrous things because they've all got good output in combat. I mean, those two charging into a unit together is just going to be nasty. Yeah, and I think the Jade Warriors are, you know, a really nice brick. Like, especially when they're Celestial, because like I said, you get them onto Weapon Skill 6 every now and again, which is just insane for that many points. I mean, it's just insane. And like, you know, maybe I'll swap out the Jade Warriors for some Jade Lancers, just because they've got counter charge. So like, they're good for like facing off against enemy cavalry, actually. But they're not very good against infantry at all. But they are, you know, they're reasonable against cavalry. So, yeah, maybe I'll do that. But that's the list. That's Cathay. I feel like I've missed something. Because this video is only 56 minutes long. And every other time I've tried to do it, I've got to like an hour and 20. But I think I've spent a lot more time talking about these other things that don't really matter. Like... You know, the Gate Master has this like, you know, he's also got this Harmony of Stone and Steel thing, but like they're just I mean, Weapon Skill 7's good, but Toughness 4, Strength 4, you know, for the points, they're fucking class. I mean, if you could have this character, any faction could have that stat line for 80 points. Like I think they'd see play. But in Cathay they won't, because you've got a super good like Wizard Lord thing. You've got Miao Ying, who's just possibly the most broken thing in Warhammer the Old World. And then you've got a Gatekeeper, which is just a really super cheap BSB. And then you got 6 cannon shots in the first turn for 500 points. You know, so you can basically take out... And yeah, that does involve rolling 12 artillery dice, and yes, 2 of those are going to be misfires. You know, the likelihood is that one's going to be on the bounce. But that doesn't matter. Yeah. So, you know, if you think you're facing off against, like, I don't know, Khemri, right? And Khemri's got, like, a dragon with Armour of Ages, blah, blah, blah. So you're probably, like, hitting it with those 6 shots. I mean, one's going to fail. And maybe 2, 3, let's say 3 end up missing. So you hit it with 3 cannonballs out of 3 cannons. And yeah, so then that's like what? 2 wounds probably, because you have to re-roll successes. So probably 2 wounds. And then it gets no armor save. It might regen one of them, and then it takes a bit of damage. So I guess that's not massive, is it? But you could spike it and roll well and kill it. Right, I think that's it, really. I can't think of anything else that I really want to say about Grand Cathay. Oh yeah, go watch Squarebase's video. They've got some interesting takes on it. They're a bit more excited about it than I am, to be honest. Yeah, we've done the magic items, we've done that, we've done the Gatekeeper. We haven't really done the armory. So, well, we have. We've been through these. Yeah. Oh yeah, and Sentinels have got bombs, but you know they're not. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's all very good. Like, you've got some stuff that's, you know, not very good stat-wise, but is cheap considering the options they give. So, like, yeah, whatever. Right, I think I'm going to call it there. I think I've finished a Cathay video. Fuck me, finally. Anyway, I hope you found it interesting. Make a comment if you've got a comment or whatever. I'll talk to you. If you're this far in, I hope you could consider, lending me a thumbs up. Well, giving at this stage, isn't it? And maybe subscribe. I don't know if you're not already. And I hope you have a great day and doing whatever it is you're doing. Today I need to clean out my garage because I'm turning it into a home gym and maybe do a bit of this. But I've just got a bit of a hankering for scenery today, I think. Anyway, cheers guys. Toodaloo.